Hi, and welcome back to India Jean Pattern Design. So today we're going to be making the cyclamen top crop, and I've already cut out the lining and the material. And today I'm using the white diamonds material, which is like a shattered glass. So all you need to do is make sure that you've cut them out according to the pattern that's provided for you. If you haven't already downloaded that, head to indiajean.com and download this pattern now. So I'm getting the correct fabric, so the main fabric. Got it facing up, and I've now got the edging of that, like the side boob area. And then I'm just placing them side by side so that you can see, and then just flipping them over so that the edges are together and right sides are facing together as well. And I'm just going to simply pin them into place. And I think I used 3 pins just to make sure that it's nice and even and it has like a clean edge. And I'll do the same on the other side, so just placing right sides facing together and making sure that the edges are flush, nice and clean, and securing those with some pins. It's actually quite amazing, this crop top, because it's actually really secure if you tie it correctly at the back, and it gives you a little bit of cleavage as well. So I hope you enjoy this. So now I've got my lining, and I'll place the right side facing up on of the lining, and doing exactly what I did with the main fabric, and placing the right sides of the lining together, and then I'll be securing that with some pins as well. So just flipping those over. And you don't have to rush, like take your time. You really want your outfit to turn out beautiful. And I find that if you take time and use it as like a creative, meditative process, you will find that your garments will turn out spectacular. So I always find that taking the time for securing the pins to be one of the best parts about the process, because everything is lined up correctly. It means it's going to be sewn correctly, fit correctly, and worn beautifully. So this part's really important, to make sure that everything is lined up and ready to go. So once all the pins are in, I will then secure these seams, and I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each of these edges, and I'm going to use the overlock. If you don't have an overlocker, you can always use a zigzag stitch. All right, all done. This top is so easy to make. You'll probably be able to make it within an hour or even under an hour, because it's just really easy and there's not a lot of technicality involved with this top. So now I've got both sides, they're sewn together, and I'm just evening out the hem or the seam allowance so it's all nice and straight. And then I'm placing my lining on top, and I'm placing the right sides together, so it's going to look like it's inside out currently while we do the sewing and the pinning. So make sure that right sides are together, and just even up your edges. And I always pin the seams first, because it just means that I know that everything is going to be in line with each other, and it's super important, because if you started at the end, you might not get everything in line. There we go, a little bit of speed pinning. And then I'm just going to sew with the overlocker or a zigzag stitch over the top of that, and done. I wish it was that quick in real life. And as you can see, that's both of those beautiful sides together, having a quick little peek in there. And then I'm just going to sew a zigzag stitch around through the keyhole opening. And I'm just going to pin everything into place so it all lines up. Again, I like taking my time for this because I find if you rush the pinning process, you might find that you accidentally sew a kind of crooked, or you might not get all the fabric in. Sometimes I do pin tack it, like just with a needle and thread, if I'm being really pedantic, usually with velvet. And then I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. There we go. I've got my zigzag stitch in. And now I'm going to put in elastic. It's a thin woven elastic. It's not too bulky. It's 6 millimeters. And I'm going to pop that in there on top of the seam allowance. So there's my elastic. And it's 6 millimeters. It's not too stiff. It's got a nice firmness to it, but it's not too weak either. So I'm going to leave probably 1/2 inch on the edge there, and I'm going to sew that in with a zigzag stitch. There we are. So my zigzag stitch is on the elastic, and I'm just going to turn it all inside out. I think. I can't remember my steps. Oh, I've got to put elastic in here. Okay, so if you've accidentally turned it inside out, put some elastic in there, the same as you did on the top, and just leave like 1/2 inch on each edge. Okay, now we can turn it inside out, and you'll start to see how it looks and get a real vibe for it. And it would actually be beautiful with 2 different colors as well. Like you can make it reversible, so you can wear one color on one side, another color on the other side. Quite versatile and comfortable. Okay, so all of this is looking beautiful, and I'm just going to even everything out so that the seams are matching, and I'm just going to pin these into place. I'm just going to pin along the bottom here, and then I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch. So this will just help you for the next part because it can be a little bit fidgety as we start to connect the pieces for the underbust elastic. So pinning all of the bottom edge together. Perfect. And then you're just going to sew along here, and I would leave 1/4 inch seam allowance. All done. Perfect. And then I'm getting the lining here. I'm folding it in half so that I can find its center point. And then placing the center point in the middle of the teardrop. And then I've got both sides together. And then just pinning that into place. There we go. And then bring the other. I'm pinning that into place as well, and just pinning all the way along this edge now, just to make sure that everything is straight. So we're just putting here the main fabric, and then following that will be the lining. Perfect, and I've rolled it over, and now I'm going to do exactly the same with the lining. So right side of the lining facing the right side of the lining, finding your middle point, and then grabbing some pins and securing that. If you're new to sewing or new to sewing stretchy fabrics, this may take you longer. I mean, it takes me just under an hour now because I know the personality of this fabric. But I suggest take your time. If it takes you half a day to make this, it takes you half a day. And if you love it, you'll obviously make it again in another color. And you'll find that your making time will become less as you become more experienced at it. But I always say give it a go, see how it looks and feels, and you can always alter from there as well just to make it more personalized for yourself. So now that my pins are in, a bit of speed pinning, and so that we've got the top sandwiched between the underbust. And then I'm just going to sew across here, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that's all done. So as you can see, that's all. The top is literally sandwiched in between them, but I always open it up just to check that there are no holes and to make sure that it's properly aligned, and again, no holes, and I haven't missed any areas along through the underbust, because that can sometimes happen, and especially when you rush yourself, that can happen. And then I'm grabbing the top and I'm rolling it, and then I'm bringing the underbust material up and enclosing it in the roll. Some might call this the burrito roll, and I do this my way. So I usually just pin along through the bulkiness, and this will stop any of the bulkiness slipping up into the machine as I sew. So make sure it's nice and firm, and I use long pins for securing the material down inside there, so you've got that bulkiness, and then I pin the edges together. And this just makes sure that everything is done neatly, and you'll find that when you unravel it, it's almost ready. It's so surprising how easy this top is to make. There you go. And then I just sew along there, about a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way along. There we are, all done. And getting my elastic, so it's a woven elastic, very stretchy, which I love. It's about 20 millimeters, and I love this. I bought it on a roll. I never cut the elastic. I usually just keep it on the roll and use it as I need it. And then just securing the elastic there, leaving about 1/2 inch on the edge. Actually, you'll see where I leave it. And I've secured that in with a zigzag stitch on both sides of the 20 millimeters. So it's like a double zigzag stitch. And now I'm taking, and as you can see, like on the edges of the elastic, I left about 2 inches. So I just really put the elastic in where the side boob ends, if you know what I mean. And then just taking the pins out and then opening that up and just kind of like wiggling it out. It's looking so beautiful. Like I said, like you can definitely do a two-toned top, so one color on one side, another color on the other, and it would be so beautiful. I haven't done it yet. I've always used this beautiful sparkly material for my clients, but I think that if you had two different colors, it'd look amazing. There we go. So that's all even out and looking absolutely beautiful. And as you can see, all we got to do is finish off the ends and make our strap and it's complete. So for the ends, I just make these a little bit more tidy, and I will put the serger on the ends here just to clean everything up. But you can definitely use a zigzag stitch, or you don't even have to really clean up the ends because it's not going to fray this material. What I like about it is even when it's cut, it still looks beautiful. And I just make sure that everything is lined up when I do this, so it's nice and clean and flush, and it's easy to sew as well when it's like that. Beautiful. So if you do pole dancing, this is great. You can still wear it for inverts or going upside down, handstands, all that kind of stuff. Everything will stay in. And as you can see, that's what it looks like. I have serged it and I've rolled it over to give it a little bit of a hem, and just make it look really pretty, even though you're not going to see that on the outside. And then I'm just going to fold this in on itself. So it's about an inch, but depending on how much you've left for the end, it could be greater as well. So it's, oh, here I go with my clips. I love these. If you're used to my tutorials, I am a big fan of bulldog clips. Little, small and medium. I just think these are the most practical things I have ever used in sewing, and I'm starting to use them more compared to actually pins, but they are just wonderful tools. So if you haven't already got some, grab some, but if you don't, you can definitely use pins as well. So I've just folded this over so that I've got an inch there, but it could be half an inch or 2 inches. It just depends on you, your comfort and your style. And then I'm just going to sew along that edge here, and I just go over it a few times with a zigzag stitch. There we go. So it becomes like a loop, and that's where you will put your strap, like your spaghetti strap, and that's what we're going to make next. So the top is literally ready, and if you have a spaghetti strap that you can slide in through there, you're ready to go. And so this is the strap that I've got, and I think I've made that about 3 centimeters, and I've just folded that in half. So it's 3 centimeters by 150 centimeters. And there's my elastic, and I folded the, not the elastic, but I folded the strap that I just made in half. I serged it, or I zigzag stitched all the way down, and then I put in my elastic on the edge. So it's all ready. Now I turn mine inside out with a safety pin. I actually haven't gotten myself one of those long loopers to put through to put it inside out, and so this is old school way of doing it. So I think I will buy myself a looper this week actually. And I just put that through the end here and wiggle its way like a little worm. And it doesn't take very long. It's just really fidgety, and I'll probably make this sped up because it's quite boring to watch. But you get the idea. There we go. Perfect, and it's complete. Yay! So that's my spaghetti strap that I just made. You can use bungee cord if you like, but I find that that's a little bit awkward to undo the tie. I like making my own spaghetti strap because I've got more control over the tightness and the thickness. Okay, so I've got the strap through the neck hole, so through the keyhole. I cross it over and up through the other loop on the other side. And you can tie this any way you like, and then I go down the other side. You can tie this any way you like. I just like this way because it's really secure. I may have made a mistake because I do from time to time. And if I do, I will undo the mistake. And I'm using my safety pin to get the cord through. And I'm just putting it on the end of the cord and then sliding it through the loops. And then just getting that through. I suggest that you play around with how you actually tie up the back. My idea is to actually have two crosses, one up the top, one down the bottom. So as you can see, I'm undoing it, but I'm just leaving this in here just so that you can see that it's okay to make a mistake, but there are also different ways to securing this, and it can be quite tricky in the beginning. However, make a mistake or two and you'll learn by it. That's why I've left this in, because I made this top and I'm having difficulty with my own way of actually doing it. It's so funny. All right, so here we go. I'm so sorry to waste your time, but I actually don't think it is wasting your time. I'm just showing what is right and what is wrong. Okay, so I've rethreaded it and I've got, and as you can see, the cross is actually starting to form on the back. And so then I've gone downwards on the loops, as you can see. There we go. And then I go up and then down. It can be tricky. That's why it's good to have a safety pin near you at all times. But once it's in, it's in. There we go. And then, yeah, this is looking better. It's supposed to have a cross. And then going down through, yeah, look, see, there's the cross. And this is good because now we've got two crosses. Cross up the top and a cross down the bottom. Yeah, and that's what you want. And if it looks like that, it's going to tie so beautifully and be comfortable and firm, and everything is going to stay in. And I finish up the ends by tying a little knot. Yay, it's looking so good. Oh my God, I'm so excited. You can download this pattern at indiajean.com. You can visit my Instagram at India Jean Designs, And make sure you like this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribing, and message me if you have any questions. I would love to answer them, and I'd also love to see what you're making as well, because that makes me really happy. Have a great day!